Hello and welcome to Hebrew Friday, and today we finish up the Ten Commandments. Actually, this verse, which I consider the 10th commandment, I don't really mind how you add it up. I just happen to come, I'm a Wesleyan who came from the Methodists, who came from the Anglicans, and of course, the Reformed tradition had a pretty significant influence on the Anglican Church. So I'm following the Reformed, that whole tradition's way of dividing them up. And for most Protestants, this verse 17, is the 10th commandment. However, Lutherans and Catholics divide up this commandment into two commandments. Don't covet your neighbor's house, don't covet your neighbor's wife. And so different traditions, as I've said, have different numberings. But for me, this is the 10th commandment, the covet commandment. Okay, so let's begin. Lo takmod. You will not covet the bait, re'eka. You will not covet the house of your neighbor. So lo is not. Takmod is imperfect, which adds letters on the front. And the tav on the front indicates a second masculine singular, a you masculine singular, although it applies to women as well. You will not covet, you, guy, you. So it's an imperfect. It is a call stem, which means it's the basic G stem. Nothing's done to it. It's the Grundstamm. You will not desire, lust. You will not lust after your neighbor's house. Don't do it. There is, of course, a fine line here. Where is the line between, man, you have a nice house, and if I can't have your house, nobody will have your house. I'm going to burn it down. You know what I mean? There's a line somewhere. It's not a clear line. It's an ambiguous line between a desire for something and what we would call lust in an evil sense. Take lust for the opposite sex. What is the distinction between you're really attractive and lust? It's an ambiguous line, but there is a distinction here. And James makes this distinction in James 1, where it says, desire when it has conceived gives birth to sin. But it's not that the temptation is not a sin. There's a debate going on in some circles right now over, well, I'm going to put it in this way. When does homosexual lust cross a line? Is having the desire for the same sex, and I'm speaking to those who believe that same sex is unbiblical. Where is the line between the temptation and the lustfulness of Matthew 5, right? Because you can look at the same sex and be tempted and not lust after them. Jesus says it's when you've lusted that you've already sinned in your mind. But there is a point where you're being tempted to lust, and then there's the point where you actually lust. Matthew 5 is talking about real lust, where you have made a mental act of lust toward the opposite sex. And so this is the Bible doesn't give us a clear answer on this. This is where we begin to talk to each other and try to sort these things out. And of course, as individuals, we stand before the Lord on how we parse these things out. But basically, you don't. If you covet something, you feed your temptation. And I would say, especially in a conscious way, where when you come to mental choices. Well, anyway, these are the philosophical parsings of what is a very broad statement. I personally do not think that the biblical cultures were very introspective. We tend to be, we are post-romantic individuals. The Romanticism of around the year 1800 made Western culture very introspective. We're very good at navel gazing. we like, I remember when I was a teenager, I would play back chance meetings with the opposite sex in slow motion. What did I say? What did they say? Kind of parsing every moment of the moving of the reel. What did it mean when that eyebrow went up? Was that a good sign? Was that a bad sign? We are a hyper introspective culture. I don't think ancient culture was introspective at all. I think they were very exterior. And so coveting, and even Jesus in Matthew 5, I think because of our introspective nature, we take it to worlds unknown, especially people who have hypersensitive consciences. We take the analysis, self-analysis, to a world that is, Paul would have looked at us and said, "You're weird." And Moses definitely would have thought we were weird, because the ancient world was a very concrete, hands-on, Amish kind of world, if that makes any sense. And I'm not putting down the Amish. I'm saying it was a go get that stone kind of world. It wasn't I wonder how many angels could dance on the head of a pin. It wasn't that kind of a world. It was a very concrete kind of world. But the commandment basically said, you will not desire the house of your neighbor. Okay. And I assume that this is not just talking about, again, man, your house is nice, but lust with legs, or that's a bad expression, desire with legs on it, that you actually are tempted to do something about it. And of course, we also have to remember, this is not a world where you buy houses. This is a world where you have your house, and that's your house, and that's your family's house forever, and it's your children's house, and their children's house, and their children's house. It's kind of, we live in a socially mobile world where I might actually be able to buy my neighbor's house. That's not the world we're talking about here. We're talking about your neighbor's house that has been in their family for 500 years. You see what I'm saying? So this, anyway, we have to take into account exactly these differences between the way we read it in our culture and the way they would have read it. Re'eka, it's a glottal stop. Ka is your, again, second masculine singular, and Ray is your neighbor. Hey, it's my neighbor Ray. Okay. Lo tak mod, you will not covet your neighbor's house. You will not covet the Eshet, Re'eka, the wife of your neighbor. So Eshet is construct. That means we stick an of at the end of it. Isha is wife. And so Eshet is the wife of construction. So it's feminine singular construct. And then Re'eka, again, Ka's second masculine singular on the end. So you will not covet your neighbor's house. You will not covet your neighbor's wife. The avdo, or, and his servant. I think or, even though vav means and, I think an or works fine here. Or his servant, his avad. Holam vav is his, the his suffix. Or his servant, va'amato, or his female servant, his ama. Don't covet her either. This isn't sexual here. I think it's, I'm gonna get that servant. They work harder than my servants. The shoro, or his ox. The kamodro, or his donkey, his kamor. The kol, and all, asher, that, la re'eka, all that is to your neighbor. Okay, so you will not covet the house of your neighbor, and you will not covet the wife of your neighbor, or his servant, or his female servant, or his ox, or his donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. Okay, I know some of you want me to read the Hebrew, which Hebrew's still hard to read for me because you have to go up and down, but let's give it a shot. Lo takmod beit re'eka. Lo takmod aset re'eka. The avdo, the amato, the shoro, the kamoro, the kol asher le re'eka. Okay, there you have it. Exodus 20:17, the 10th commandment.